12 games in the association last night, only a quadruple header slate on this Tuesday in the NBA. But plenty to break down for you here with the two premier NBA handicappers on the SportsGrid Network, DRS and myself. All right, Donnie, the Lakers on the road once again. Second leg of a road back-to-back. 5-point win last night in Charlotte over the Hornets. 4-point spread in favor of the Lakers tonight in Philadelphia against your 76ers. Total 216. Of course, when you are looking at the second leg of a back-to-back for the Lakers in any game in Philadelphia, you need to check the availability report in the prop market so far. We have props for LeBron James and Anthony Davis for LA. We only have props for Tyrese Maxey for Philadelphia. Of course, no Joel Embiid and no Paul George. Thus, a 4-point spread in favor of LA on the road.
Yeah, some CLV already. If you had the Philadelphia 76ers this morning, as much as getting 5.5, now down to 4 currently live here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Other outlets, Ben, now showing even 3.5s, which doesn't really let you in on the Philadelphia 76ers and what we're expecting from them. It's what are we expecting from the Los Angeles Lakers playing last night in Charlotte. AD had a 40-20 game last night. Now, is this one of those games where you press it down with your vets because you should be able to beat the Philadelphia 76ers as opposed to the Lakers going to Boston and getting 9 points? Why waste a back-to-back here and play those athletes? But also, you're understanding that you played your starters last night in Charlotte, knowing that you had a back-to-back in Philadelphia. That's the game you chose. So the chances of LeBron James and or Anthony Davis being out, at least one of those being out, does increase. And those lines are telling you that as well. So I took the earlier 5.5 this morning. So if it's still sitting at the 4 number on the FanDuel Sportsbook, I still think that makes sense. The lineup for the Sixers estimated tonight, it's not even a good one. Maxey, Oubre, Gordon, Council IV, and Yabusele. But we're just worried about jet lag from a veteran team, and will they be all there once this game tips off? That's why that line's dropping.
Yeah, completely agree, DRS. And when you look at the 76ers season, they have to start winning games at a certain point. They are 10 games below 500. They are 17-27. Yes, they have won 2 in a row, but if the season ended today, they would be a game and a half behind the Bulls for what would be the 10th spot, that 4th and final, even in the Eastern Conference play-in tournament. There is too much talent on the roster, even if that roster hardly ever plays together, for the Sixers not to make the play-in tournament at bare minimum. I would agree. I think this line is going to continue to work toward Philadelphia. One of the difficult things we do in breaking down NBA games at 10:30, even at 7 p.m. Eastern time for when that game is supposed to tip, because so much can change. The Lakers might say right now they're going to play both AD and LeBron James, but they wake up as they travel to Philadelphia overnight, get ready for shoot-around, and they're like, I'm all right. Like, it's Guerschon Yabusele on the other side, although LeBron might want some revenge from that poster throughout the Olympics. I agree with you. I think the right side would be looking at Philadelphia right now, but the 76ers can't just be catching points all that much more often. The Lakers have won 4 straight. They're 8 games above 500. They've won 6 of their last 7. They have covered in 4 of those 6 wins, 4-1-1 against the spread in those 6 victories. The Lakers not playing bad basketball right now in 42-23 out of Anthony Davis last night against the Charlotte Hornets. Again, only 4 games in the NBA tonight. Let's go to another. The Bucks on the second leg of a road back-to-back, laying 5.5 in the Rose City against the Trailblazers. 229 and a hook is the total tonight. Yesterday, Milwaukee in Salt Lake, beating up on the worst team in the Western Conference, the Utah Jazz, winning 125-110, covering in that game, winning by 15 on the road.
Yeah, you're taking a look also at another instance, Ben, where you're trying to line up and say, all right, where's the advantages here for the home team? Well, the simple advantages is Portland's not a great team, but they're home, they're rested and ready. The Milwaukee Bucks once again played last night, way more talented roster, no doubt, and even in the anticipated starting lineup tonight, Lillard, Jackson, Prince, Antetokounmpo, and Lopez. You take a look at the Blazers, Simons, Kamara, Denny Avdija, Grant, and also Ayton. So for Ayton, DeAndre Ayton. But if you are looking at, again, this line, opened up 6.5, now dipping to 5.5. And I do agree with that movement because back-to-backs are always tricky, as you pointed out. We don't know all that information until later in the afternoon, but the lines moving accordingly are saying, well, yes, you have a built-in advantage, and maybe if one of those starters is not playing tonight, extra advantage for the home team that's rested and ready for the game. I'll take the points once again with the Portland Trailblazers in this game, banking on a little bit of jet lag, and maybe a starter out,
Sure.
that Portland will be full gas on their offense.
The Blazers not the best team this year. 12 games below 500, 17 and 29, third worst mark in the Western Conference. But they have been very competitive. They've been an underdog now in 42 of 46 total games this year. 24, 17 and 1 against the spread. We would expect to see Damian Lillard tonight, as you see the headline, his second return back to his former long-standing home in Portland. Milwaukee playing better basketball since the start of the NBA Cup, winning said NBA Cup crown, now 26 and 18. The Bucks victorious in 8 of their last 10. Houston, huge win last night inside TD Garden. Almost a prove-it game to say, hey, we're a legitimate Western Conference and NBA championship contender. Now, the Rockets on the road again, still laying 7 in a change of venue against the Hawks. But that line working up even more in favor of the Rockets. Total at 227. DRS, what do you like?
Yeah, taking a look at the anticipated lineups there, you still have Young, Daniels, these some names. Vit Krejci? How about that name here? And Reese Shea and Okonkwo. My goodness, man. That's a tough pronunciation lineup all the way through for the Hawks. But then you have Van Vliet, Green, Thompson, Brooks, and Şengün. You're looking at the usual suspects there for the Rockets. But I got to tell you, it's not as if it's like the MO of the night is just take the home teams here because they're rested and ready and not as good as the other team. But if there was one of those games where you say, boy, we're high-fiving and relaxing and sort of smelling the roses, that would be the Houston Rockets, who, again, are back-to-back on the road after an unbelievable performance in Boston.
Unbelievable.
I just would ride with the Atlanta Hawks here, now getting 7 points live. Something has to give. Maybe Trae Young's out or somebody extra would be missing, but this is one of those perfect scenarios where not often do you see, like, hey, the public's like, yes, the Rockets have arrived. Hold on, they just lost to the Hawks. This is what happens in sports, why it's so tough to keep those winning streaks going. Give me the 7 points with the Hawks.
Yeah, I think it's hard to fault DRS. It's not like the Rockets are just playing the second leg of a back-to-back, which we have mentioned numerous times, and it's on the road and it's difficult. The Rockets won in the final seconds last night against the reigning NBA champs, trying to prove they were of that echelon on a last-second floater from Amen Thompson. Talk about riding the high and a slight come-down in the ATL. And one of my favorite trends the last few years, if the Hawks were an underdog or expected to lose a basketball game, they often lost and they did not cover. Changing this year, Atlanta 15 and 12 against the number as a dog this season. Houston, one of the best teams in the NBA right now, and certainly so in covering numbers. I would agree with taking the points. 4 games in the NBA tonight. Our last one, Golden State at home in San Francisco. 12-point favorite DRS against the Utah Jazz. Again, we mentioned the Jazz, second worst team in the NBA, worst record in the Western Conference, 10 and 34. Also playing the second leg of a back-to-back, but a change of venue from Salt Lake to Northern California. The Dubs also need to start winning games, much like the Sixers would be on the outside of the Western Conference play-in tournament if the season closed today.
Yeah, look at the opposite of the first 3 games we went over, where the road team now coming in here saying we had a home game last night, but now we're on the road today, and we have the Golden State Warriors at home, but they're heavily favored at -12, which should seem like a layup. But understand this. After the Jazz completed that game last night, they only have 3 home wins, but they have 10 wins on the season, which means they're a better road team than home team. Warriors in a win. Too many points. Give me the Jazz.
Yeah, Utah as an underdog. 43 times out of 44 games. But not bad covering, 23 and 20 against the spread.